Chapter 51, Military Advisors come when there is something wrong, and come when there is nothing wrong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Apart from humans, Sui seems to have no optional targets, although the skill description does not limit only humans. In the current high-temperature environment, Sui rarely sees living creatures other than humans, never mind the wild cats and dogs, but all the birds in the sky were nowhere to be seen. Occasionally, you can see some mosquitoes flying around, but Sui doesn't get close and use parasitism skills on them. What can a group of mosquitoes replicate? Forget it, let's try it first. Sui was really bored and he couldn't find a good experimental subject. Let the residents of your home try it. Sui is not so crazy that he even kills his own people. These girls are quite hardworking and conscientious in their work, and they are very valuable. There is no need to kill them. Sui thought about it, then simply opened the window and let in an unknown mosquito. Nowadays, the streets are full of flying insects. Without sanitation workers, the city would have been greatly changed. Parasitic. Sui stared at the flying insects and muttered silently. The next second, Sui felt dizzy, and his body fell on the sofa involuntarily. When Sui finally calmed down the discomfort in his body and tried hard to regain consciousness, he was horrified to find that his perspective and feelings were a little confused. Now, he can clearly feel that he has two perspectives. One is the perspective of a human being looking at the house normally, and the other is the perspective of a compound eye when he is lying on the table and sees his face full of horror. Is this the insect's perspective? Grass, this is really parasitic. I actually have the perspective of a bug. Sui was shocked in his heart. No, I'm so dizzy, I'm getting more and more dizzy. Sui covered his head. As the flying insects struggled, he felt that the world was turning upside down. Sui couldn't bear it anymore. He resisted the urge to vomit, picked up a book and swatted the flying insects to death. Crack. With the death of the flying insects, the parasitic effect disappeared, and Sui felt much better. Damn, that's so fucking outrageous. Sui took a deep breath and calmed himself down. This thing actually has a potential effect and allows me to have a parasite's perspective. Hiss. We have to choose a good parasite, so what secrets does he have for me? Sui murmured, although it would be uncomfortable to have two perspectives, just try your best to adapt. Compared with the uncomfortable side effects, the potential effects of this talent are simply huge. Based on the results of the experiment, I should find a survivor to parasitize, preferably one with a strong shelter. In this way, having another human perspective won't make me too uncomfortable, and I will be more adaptable. Secondly, I will still be lucky enough to copy more valuable items. If you just find a random person to parasitize, the result of copying items will be very ordinary, then this skill is really a pure entertainment skill. Sui frowned, and a name immediately came to his mind, Little White Bear Sanctuary. He is the only strong survivor I know. Sui opened the ranking list and found that this guy's ranking was still high, and he was far ahead in the number of shelters destroyed. Exaggerate. He is really the eldest brother who is number 1 on the PK list, and he is really going to kill people like crazy. First of all, it can be guessed that this guy's talent is definitely not low, and the effect will definitely be very strong. If he hadn't been able to obtain talent units for the time being, or were limited by upgrade materials, with the survival points he had obtained, he could have upgraded the shelter several times. If I can parasitize him, the probability of me being able to copy something good will definitely be much higher. But how do I find him? Sui was deep in thought. He couldn't just shout directly on the chat channel, Little White Bear, where are you? Come out and meet me. This is definitely not possible. After all, parasitism is not control. The target after parasitization still has its own subjective consciousness and can resist Sui. According to Sui's plan, he wanted to complete the parasitism without Little White Bear knowing, and continue to maintain the situation where he was in the dark and Little White Bear was in the light. I didn't want to meet him too early before, but now I'm looking forward to seeing him. Sui was lying on the sofa. After thinking for a while, he got up and went downstairs to find Jiang Xiaozi. At this moment, Jiang Xiaozi was in a war room on the second floor, assigning today's tasks to the soldiers. after Sui walked in, he saw Lin Yu and others fully armed and ready to set off. "Sir, do you have any other instructions?" Jiang Xiaozi is very smart. She rarely sees Sui go downstairs. Every time Sui goes downstairs, there is something important. Sui nodded and waved for everyone to gather around again. "Xiaozi, have you told everyone about the little white bear sanctuary I mentioned before?" "Mentioned it." Jiang Xiaozi nodded. "I have always emphasized that during the execution of the mission, we must avoid direct conflicts with the little white bear sanctuary and focus on collecting intelligence from the other party." Jiang Xiaozi knew that Suyi's innate characteristics would become stronger as time went on. In order to give full play to Suyi's talents, Jiang Xiaozi's development policy for the shelter has always been to focus on defense, create multiple defensive street chains around the shelter to form a progressive territory and advance outward in an orderly manner. "Yeah, but now there's a new surprise." Sui pondered and said, "Xiaozi, I need to find the leader of the little white bear shelter now. I have a way to effectively target him in the long term." "Sir, what is the method?" "Parasitism." Sui weighed the options and did not hide anything. Those present were all his talents, their loyalty was guaranteed, and they were in a life-and-death relationship with the shelter. "I have a parasitic skill. As long as I see the leader of the little white bear shelter, I can complete the parasitism and get all his cards." Sui paused and smiled. "Of course, there is only a probability, not an absolute. Master all the opponent's cards." Jiang Xiaozi's eyes lit up. She knew too well how perverted this skill was. If this is true, then Suyi's shelter will be invincible. "Sir, is it enough to just see the leader of the little white bear shelter?" "That's probably it. I'm still testing more parasitic methods." Sui nodded. After his preliminary test, the first condition for parasitism is at least to see the opponent first. If you can't even see the other party, you can't complete the parasitism. This. Jiang Xiaozi pondered slightly, and Sui looked at her expectantly. "Xiaozi, is there a way? I know this is a bit difficult, but if you do it, those people are undoubtedly working for us." Sui coughed, feeling that he was a bit too much. The little white bear shelter is a well-known murderer in the city. It is not easy to see them. It is very dangerous to approach them easily. It's not difficult. Jiang Xiaozi raised her eyebrows and said softly, "Sir, I will be fully responsible for this matter. But I need to confirm with you. Really, just seeing him is enough?" "Yes." Sui nodded without hesitation. "This is the parasitism method that he has verified." "Okay, I know how to do it." Jiang Xiaozi nodded. "It may take some time for me, and I hope you will wait patiently." "Well, I leave it to you." Sui nodded with satisfaction. It is comfortable to have a smart military advisor. If there is any problem that cannot be solved, just ask the military advisor, and the military advisor will solve it directly. We don't need to be very smart, we just need to learn to delegate power to our subordinates, and then we can win by lying at home and playing games. Sui feels that this is the correct way to use his talent. No wonder the talent rewards are always frequently given to his talent unit. It seems that I always thought that staying at home and not going out is the way to be invincible. But in fact, as long as the disaster has not disappeared, there is no absolute safety. Building a powerful force of your own and protecting yourself in the core is the only safe development path. Sui sighed in his heart. No wonder Jiang Xiaozi made a plan for himself as a big boss behind the scenes. Developing your own power can not only use more and more talents to achieve all-round strength without shortcomings, but also provide strong security guarantees unlimitedly. If one person builds an invincible shelter, it is just a hard tortoise shell after all. Only when a group of people build a strong shelter can they enjoy the feeling of the Doomsday Emperor who speaks out and all the ministers serve him. After Sui communicated with Jiang Xiaozi, she did not let the soldiers immediately carry out the task of finding the little white bear shelter, but continued to let Lin Yu and others maintain today's combat mission unchanged. Lin Yu was a little confused, but did not ask more questions. She just kept this matter in her heart and secretly decided that if she got the news of the little white bear shelter after exploring, she would try her best to actively collect more intelligence. The afternoon was still uneventful. The women in the shelter continued to repair and strengthen the defense structure of the shelter under the leadership of Jiang Xiaozi, and laid more and more shelter traps and early warning devices with the help of various gadgets made by Liya. In the entire shelter, only 2 men were the most boring, Sui and Qiuren. No, Sui is better than Qiuren, after all. Sui has a new skill to figure out, although it doesn't feel good to parasitize non-human creatures. In order to better master the skills, Sui kept trying all afternoon. He was trying different ways of parasitism, parasitizing different types of creatures, and looking for more tips for the use of skills. Of course, in order to ensure his own safety, he would not copy any messy things on his body. Each time Sui conducted an experiment, the process was relatively short, ensuring that he could kill the parasitic target in the first place, so as not to copy an insect wing, a gecko tail, or something like that on his body. Soon, it was night. Sui stood by the window and looked into the distance, looking at the gradually dilapidated city buildings, and he sighed in his heart. Thick smoke rose in the industrial area of the city, and it seemed that a big fire had started there again. The sound of rumbling explosions could be heard faintly, as if it was another derivative disaster. In less than 3 weeks, this round of high-temperature doomsday will end. I don't know how many people will survive by then. But the national victory reward was given very early, which should allow many survivors across the country to survive. Sui thought in his heart, and suddenly noticed that the entrance door of the residential building downstairs was opened, and Qiuren walked out with several large sacks in his hands. The entrance of the sack was open, filled with drinking water, food, daily necessities and various gadgets made by Liya. What is he going to do with all these things? Chapter 52 Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, expand outward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qiuren's departure must have been arranged by Jiang Xiaozi. Although this guy just joined the talent unit, Sui could tell that part of Qiuren's personality was very similar to his own. If you can stay at home, don't go out when you have nothing to do, and lie down when you have nothing to do. It's hard to imagine that this is the character of a killer who is a bit undisciplined, but Qiuren is indeed like this. When Sui was confused, Jiang Xiaozi had already pushed the door open from behind and walked into the room. Xiaozi, are you letting Qiuren go out? Sui pointed to the sky outside the window. It's already dark now, why let him go out so late? It's definitely dangerous. Jiang Xiaozi nodded and admitted, but Sui didn't think so. This guy, I think the danger is secondary. I'm just curious, why does he bring such a thing when he goes out? A killer who is good at using poison goes out in the dark night of the high temperature and doomsday. The level of danger is similar to the feeling of going home, and it is unlikely to die outside. Sir, you don't know something. Jiang Xiaozi smiled and said, a few days ago, Lin Yu and the others discovered a market organized by survivors 6 streets away during their search. There are always people there who bring their belongings to exchange things and barter. There are people there day and night. No wonder Qiuren would go out with a lot of things, co-authored to do business. Oh, Sui became even more confused. What do you plan to ask Qiuren to buy back? Is there anything else we need in the shelter? Sui knew about the existence of offline markets. He had seen relevant discussion information in the chat channel a few days ago. Although the shelter platform provides online trading items across the city, many items cannot be put on the shelves for trading. Among them, the most inconspicuous, but the most needed ones are all kinds of inedible materials and items. These materials may be table legs, construction site cement, steel bars, etc. They do not belong to the main categories recognized by Doomsday Game mechanisms such as food, drinking water, equipment, weapons, etc., and cannot be put on the shelves for trading. But today, when most technological means have failed, humans still need these pre-apocalyptic materials to rebuild their own shelters. These methods are allowed in the Doomsday mechanism. Sui has long discovered that some low-level technological methods and the ability to use tools that have been re-researched by humans are allowed to take effect. Many survivors have not yet mastered the means to upgrade their shelters, and there is a need to improve the safety of their shelters. Naturally, There is a market demand for these materials. In addition to this demand, sellers in online shelters who need it are hiding it, and the information about the items they introduce is fraudulent. If you buy something that is not right, there is no way to return it for a refund. Survivors who don't want to be deceived are also keen on conducting offline transactions. After all, they can see what is being bought and sold with their own eyes, so the risk of being deceived is slightly lower. Of course, offline transactions are also very risky. There is a risk of being robbed or killed, and losing both people and goods. The gains and losses must be weighed individually. We don't lack anything in our shelter, but we need to be prepared for any emergencies. I asked him to buy more medicine and the equipment he needs. Jiang Xiaozi paused and said with a smile, "Of course, I also asked him to publicize our shelter supplies more and make him more generous." Be more generous, Sui frowned. He seemed to know what Jiang Xiaozi was going to do. You want to collect information about Little White Bear Sanctuary through trading? Sui asked. Where there are many people, there is exchange of information. There are too many people in online communication channels, and a large amount of useless information drowns out useful clues, making it difficult to obtain key intelligence information, but it is different offline. As long as Qiuren is generous enough, it is easy to open the psychological defense lines of buyers and sellers, and at least initially exchange some intelligence information. That's the intention, but it's more than that. Jiang Xiaozi nodded, then shook his head. Sir, offline trading itself is full of many unstable factors, and everyone is wary of each other. I think this method of intelligence collection is probably like finding a needle in a haystack. Although it is possible to obtain information about the Little White Bear Sanctuary, it may be difficult to know more details about the other party, or even contact the other party. Then what is Qiuren's real purpose? Sui stared at Jiang Xiaozi. He knew that this woman would not do useless things. Since Qiuren's main purpose is not to collect intelligence, what else can it be? Show strength. Jiang Xiaozi whispered, Sir, I need him to represent our shelter to contact the survivors within the offline trading market, show our strength, spread our influence, and wait until the time is right. Second, the offline trading market. Sui woke up and blurted out, You want to occupy new territory. Control the offline trading market. Not me. Jiang Xiaozi smiled slightly and emphasized, It's for Sir. My husband has gradually adapted to this era and can already predict what she is going to do. Jiang Xiaozi knew that Sui was not stupid, but he had not changed his thinking habits in time before. Control the offline trading market. This method will work. Sui paced back and forth, frowning and murmuring, Use control methods to radiate our influence. As long as we are famous enough, we can naturally get in touch with the Little White Bear Sanctuary. Besides, we appear as the controllers of the offline trading market, so we naturally have the identity and position of businessmen. No matter how bloodthirsty Little White Bear is, he has no reason to kill us. He is tyrannical, but not stupid. He must know that building a good relationship with us can have more stable channels for material income. In this way, we can further cover up our shelter through the remote control of the trading market. At the same time, we can also show our strength and actually contact the Little White Bear shelter. Then, Xiaozi, do you only intend to use this trading market as a shell to cover our identity? Sui looked at Jiang Xiaozi, and Jiang Xiaozi shook his head. Of course it is not just that. As more and more new partners are brought by the gentleman, the pressure on us to support our family will naturally increase. A shelter will eventually fail to protect more and more people. We need more territory, more voice, and more armed forces to ensure the safety of the gentleman to the greatest extent. Jiang Xiaozi's purpose is very simple. She wants the territory of the trading market, not just to contact the Little White Bear shelter, she also wants to use the trading market to expand the shelter and form a dangerous buffer zone at the same time. As long as the trading market is taken, most of the eyes and attention of those who are hostile to Sui's shelter can be absorbed. Once someone wants to make enemies with Sui, the trading market, as an open territory, will inevitably bear the brunt. In this way, Sui's own shelter may not be attacked by the enemy in the first time, and the safety factor will be greatly improved. If there is no external territory, once the enemy finds out the location of the shelter, Sui will have to face the enemy outside the shelter. Although the safety of the shelter is improving and strengthening every day, there is always a chance of such things. If the enemy is too powerful and far exceeds the shelter's tolerance, causing the enemy to break through the shelter, everything will be over. If you think about it more deeply, once the trading market is taken, it can be used as a new springboard to gather more external survivors around Sui's shelter, so that they can unite around Sui to keep warm and resist the end of the world. And under Jiang Xiaozi's management system, these external survivors cannot see Sui himself. This is like the company management system before the end of the world. The employees at the bottom of the pyramid can't see the chairman casually, but they are fighting for the chairman's wealth all the time. Jiang Xiaozi's decision is to kill two birds with one stone. It is a long-term consideration and has a sense of interconnectedness. The more Sui thinks about it, the more perfect it feels. It's really good and thoughtful. Sui was silent for a long time, and finally sighed and said, "Xiaozi, you are really amazing. This trick is beneficial and harmless to us whether we encounter danger or develop smoothly." Jiang Xiaozi is building layers of external protection for Sui, not just providing protection at the physical level, but all-round protection. Mr. is also very powerful. Jiang Xiaozi blinked her beautiful eyes and said gently, "What Xiaozi thinks, you can't hide it from you." "Huh? You actually know how to flatter." "I'm telling the truth." Jiang Xiaozi's smile became brighter and brighter. She really thinks Sui is very smart, a person who is essentially kind and principled, but not pedantic. In the face of danger, Sui can be decisive and ruthless. When conditions permit, he can also lend a hand to the weak. Although he is sometimes lazy, he can figure out many things by himself, and he trusts his subordinates very much and dares to delegate power. Such a leader may not be so perfect, but he can make his subordinates feel at ease. "Okay, with you here, I can really be a good homeboy." Sui lay comfortably on the sofa. Jiang Xiaozi has already started to implement the plan of outward expansion for the shelter, but these still cannot affect Sui's plan to stay at home and enjoy it. She expands hers. "I stay at home, there is no conflict." "Sir, it's late, do you want to sleep?" "Yes, okay." Sui stood up and suddenly said with a smile, "Xiaozi, I suddenly feel that I seem to be a bit like Lu Adu, and I can rely on you for everything. Xiaozi is not as good as Zhuge Liang, and you are not as mediocre as Adu." Jiang Xiaozi lowered his head and spoke softly, "In Xiaozi's opinion, you just don't like to fight." "Sir doesn't like to fight, but I can get it for you." This is what Jiang Xiaozi didn't say, and Sui didn't ask, and was about to lie on the bed to sleep. Unexpectedly, Jiang Xiaozi reminded, "Sir, you don't seem to have taken a bath for a long time. The water resources in the shelter are sufficient. Do you want to take a bath?" "That's right. I don't seem to have taken a serious bath in these few days of the doomsday." Sui nodded. "Take a bath, turn on the water. It's already ready. It's in the room downstairs. Leah renovated it yesterday. It's a big bathtub." Jiang Xiaozi gently opened the door and led Sui to a room downstairs. This house has been remodeled, and all the original facilities in the house have been cleared. A third of the way up the wall is a platform, which encloses the clear water in the entire room, and the neatly arranged water outlets can be clearly seen at the bottom. "Isn't this a swimming pool?" Sui's eyes widened, and he was amazed. "Did Leah do this? She turned this whole room into a swimming pool?" "Yes." Jiang Xiaozi nodded gently and introduced, "I came up with the idea. Leah made the drawings and plans, and built the necessary parts, and the rest was done by the girls themselves. I was wondering what you were doing downstairs these days, and it turns out there is such a surprise." "Sir, this is a surprise prepared by the girls for you." Jiang Xiaozi whispered, "You provide shelter, the girls are grateful, and think they should do something for you to make you live more comfortably." Not bad, indoor swimming pool, I like it." Sui nodded with satisfaction. Although the swimming pool looks a bit shabby at present, it is already a good sign. There is a swimming pool, so how far are other things? Sui feels that the quality of his life as a geek in the shelter is gradually getting better and better. "Sir, are you going to take a shower now?" Well, go out. Hey! Why are you taking off your clothes? Sir, I have to be with you. If you get drowned, I have to watch you. That makes sense, but why are you wearing a swimsuit underneath? You must have planned it. You must have prepared it long ago. Sir, this is called being prepared. If you don't like the color, Xiaozi will take it off now. Chapter 53 Medicine That Satisfies Miss Jiang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Xiaozi was too direct and didn't care about Sui doing anything to him. In the end, Sui enjoyed a beautiful bath without any surprise. How to describe this process? It was a little different from Mandarin ducks playing in the water. At least they didn't really do anything, but touching each other was inevitable. However, the person who touched him was not Sui. After playing in the water, the night gradually deepened. Sui returned to the room and fell asleep with the beauty in his arms, a night of sweet dreams until the next morning. Sui was awakened by Qiuren's complaints outside the door. No. I have to find the boss. Raise my salary. I must raise my salary. This is extra overtime. I worked all night, and you still let me stay in the infirmary. Even if the capable are given more work, it's not like this. The boss will feel sorry for me if he knows. Besides, no one is sick here. What am I doing sitting there? I'm like a fool. Some girls will tease me, you know. They are not sick, but they always run to the infirmary for nothing. This matter is very serious. I am a doctor. How can I be teased by patients? Qiuren yelled so loudly that Sui woke up and looked outside the door. Jiang Xiaozi's voice came, neither hurried nor slow. Keep your voice down. If the gentleman wakes up, I will not forgive you. What? You are not allowed to exploit the middle-aged and elderly. The boss is a good man, and he will definitely not see you do this. Qiuren was not afraid of Jiang Xiaozi at all, and his tone became higher and higher. I am 40. I am half buried in the ground. You are still exploiting me like this. I worked all night, and you didn't let me sleep. I want to see the boss. I want to report you. Qiuren. Sui spoke, slightly raising his voice. Come in. Hey, boss. I'm here. Qiuren's answer was cheerful and anxious, and a little proud. The boss is awake. You are finished. I will report you. Qiuren pushed the door open and saw Sui leaning on the bed, and bowed respectfully. Boss, good morning. Yeah. Sui pointed to the teacup on the table, and Qiuren hurriedly trotted forward, respectfully poured tea and handed it to Sui's hand. You didn't poison me, did you? Sui sipped his tea and suddenly asked, which made Qiuren stunned for a moment. Boss, how dare I poison you? That's hard to say. Sui had no expression on his face and said lightly, you dared to yell at Xiaozi just after you came back, and you also poisoned Lin Yu in front of me when you just met. Is there anything else you dare not do? Boss. Qiuren lowered his head in embarrassment and said nothing. Xiaozi is in charge of everything in the shelter. Whatever she asks you to do is my decision. Sui put down the teacup and looked Qiuren up and down. What I heard you say outside just now is. What, you met a new boss last night, you don't want to work for me anymore. Boss, that's not what I meant, Qiuren hurriedly explained, I just think that there are too many things to do. This woman, bah. It's Miss Jiang who assigned me too many tasks, I can't do it alone. Well, then I'll give you a raise, Sui nodded and asked, but there is no such thing as salary in my shelter, what should I do? Fire you? No, boss, Qiuren scratched his head, his smile became more and more awkward, where else can I go? I know I was wrong, I won't dare to do it next time. Sui didn't say anything, just got up and washed himself. Qiuren followed Sui silently all the way. After Sui cleaned himself up, he looked at Qiuren in the mirror and asked calmly, tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? You can't really complain about Xiaozi. You are very smart and know Xiaozi's position in the shelter. Boss. Qiuren scratched his head, glanced at Jiang Xiaozi standing at the door and looking at the two of them, and lowered his voice to Sui, I went out last night. I know, go on. Sui sat at the dining table, and there was breakfast on the table that Jiang Xiaozi had prepared long ago. Even if Sui might not wake up at this time, Jiang Xiaozi still prepared a hearty breakfast every day to ensure that Sui could eat after waking up. Then, I killed some people. Qiuren's head lowered more and more, and Sui paused for a moment while eating. He raised his head and glanced at Jiang Xiaozi outside the door, and then looked at Qiuren who was lowering his head. Qiuren, I remember Xiaozi asked you to go out to expand our influence and lay the groundwork for taking over the trading market, right? Yes, boss. You killed people to expand your influence, right? Sui tilted his head, to deter, or were you forced to fight back when you encountered danger? To deter. Qiuren lowered his head. Sui felt something was wrong. Why did this middle-aged uncle still look like he had done something wrong? Tell me first, how many people did you kill? 127. Qiuren reported the exact number, and the spoon in Sui's hand shook. What the hell? Sui's voice became higher, and he stared at Qiuren with wide eyes. Say it again. Boss, I killed 127 people, using poison, a small-scale nerve aerosol toxin. Qiuren lowered his head, not daring to look into Sui's eyes, like a child who had done something wrong. Damn, another guy who kills without blinking an eye. Sui covered his forehead. What kind of talents did he summon? It's okay that Lin Yu and other soldiers can kill people, and it's normal that Jiang Xiaozi, the head of the Secret Service, has no psychological pressure to kill people, but why do you, a doctor, go on a killing spree? Oh, I forgot, you are also a retired world-class killer. I asked you to go out and do the mission, why did you kill so many people? They wanted to have something in my hand, and then Miss Jiang said that we should appropriately expand our influence and show our strength. Qiuren explained in a low voice. Sui took a deep breath. Then tell me, how many people are there in total at that trading location? 268 people. According to the intelligence collected by the shelter, it is a relatively large trading market. The other trading markets that are closer together only have a trading scale of 40 or 50 people at most. 268 people, you fucking killed 127. You killed half. Sui pinched his fingers and tried to calm himself down. He looked at Qiuren and asked in a very sincere tone, you call this deterrence? Is this deterrence? You fucking killed the whole family. Sui felt numb all over. He didn't feel sorry for the dead because of kindness. He just felt that this plan seemed to be ruined. Who would be a good person to occupy the territory and kill people like Qiuren? All the people are dead. What territory are you fighting for? All the people are dead. Who are you going to trade with? Boss, we're fighting for the territory. Qiuren smiled awkwardly and explained, remove the people and keep the land, at least the territory is still there. What a good way to remove the people and keep the land. You are really talented. Sui gave a thumbs up. He finally knew why Qiuren quarreled with Jiang Xiaozi. Jiang Xiaozi must have scolded him when he knew about this. Thank you for the compliment, boss. Damn. Does this uncle think I am complimenting him? Forget it, it has already happened. Sui took a deep breath and did not get angry, which surprised Qiuren. Boss, aren't you angry? I am angry, but scolding you is useless. Sui shook his head, pinching the spoon with his fingers and calculating, these people are already dead, what a pity. You killed these guys, there is no value at all. The shelter was not destroyed, and the inheritance items were not obtained, these people were killed in vain, and it would cause panic, resulting in no one daring to come to this trading place again. Everyone wanted to do business, but they met a murderer. Who would dare to come here to do business? What a pity. It seems that we have to change the trading market. Sui sighed deeply, we have to change someone to do this. But, forget it, there are not enough people. Lin Yu and others have to brush materials every day. You should be more careful next time. Who dares to do business with your murderous methods? Sui still couldn't help but taught Qiuren a severe lesson: many things can't be solved by killing people. Our goal is to occupy the territory. Is the place without people called the territory? The purpose of occupying the trading market is to allow everyone to trade better. Under our protection, make deals, let these people listen to our arrangements, surround us and become external forces. You are so good, just kill half of them. Sui rolled his eyes, but unexpectedly Qiuren suddenly raised his head and said in confusion, "Boss, I have completed the mission goal." What did you complete? Spread influence, ensure that the trading market is under our control, let more survivors who come to trade rely on us and become part of our power. Qiuren paused and whispered, "The few who survived held my hand before leaving and cried to explain to me they came to trade again tomorrow night, and they asked me to be there tomorrow night." Huh? Sui was stunned, and suddenly asked, "Wait, they cried and begged you to go tomorrow night?" "Yes, boss." "Did you not tell me something?" "Anything?" Qiuren tilted his head and suddenly realized, "Oh, it seems that I forgot to say that the group of people I killed were said to be from the Tianshan gang. They seem to be here to occupy the territory. It is said that they came 2 days earlier than me. They thought I was also a survivor who came to trade, and asked me to take out half of the trading items I brought as a reward. Booth fee. I felt I was losing money, so I killed them all." Qiuren paused, and suddenly said with a smile, "As for the rest of the traders, I sent them antidotes, they didn't die, but I killed all the competitors." "So you did a good thing, drove away the competitors, provided protection, and gained the reliance of the traders, and then, doesn't that mean that we have taken over the trading market now?" Sui suddenly realized that this trading market had been targeted by someone, but this group of unlucky guys met the murderous Qiuren again. "Yes, boss, I completed the task." Qiuren smiled happily, without any guilt for doing something wrong just now. This guy, he has been pretending. "Fuck," Sui turned furious, "why didn't you say it just now?" Qiuren raised his head, his face full of innocence, with a smile on his lips. "You didn't ask either." His smile was filled with the pleasure of a successful prank. "If I don't ask, you won't tell me, right?" "Have to." "I almost forgot, this guy is a psycho." Sui raised her head and glanced at Jiang Xiaozi outside the door. She also looked surprised. Obviously Qiuren didn't tell her about this. Qiuren did it on purpose. He deliberately only said half of what he said to have fun. "It won't happen again." Sui pointed at Qiuren with a straight face. "Your ability to do things is good, but if you act like this, it can easily cause misunderstandings for everyone." Qiuren smiled and blinked. "Isn't that right? Haven't you succeeded in misunderstanding?" Sui was furious. "Qiuren, have a correct attitude." "Yes, boss," Qiuren responded loudly, but Sui didn't know if he really heard it. "Then go ahead tomorrow and take care of the place for a few nights first." Sui tapped his fingers on the table and thought for a moment. "If you kill those people, there will probably be trouble. Let's observe them for a few nights first. Doing this can also strengthen our influence, but it will be a pain for you, as you have to watch the show alone. Wait a few more days. If new talents come in, I will help you." Sui raised his head and looked at Qiuren. "Next time you give a report, don't say anything half-finished. If you have any other needs, just ask them now and I will try my best to satisfy you." Naturally, Sui didn't want to lose the field he had just won. This is a key step in the plan. It is not difficult to win the position, but it is not easy to hold it. There is a need. Qiuren was not polite and pointed out his difficulties. "Boss, the poison I brought is almost used, and Liya doesn't seem to have the raw materials for making medicine. If more people come to grab the territory, I'm afraid I won't be able to handle it." Qiuren blinked. He was very sincere. He is a killer, not a Superman. He cannot face too many enemies head-on without equipment. "Xiaozi." Sui looked at Jiang Xiaozi outside the door. Jiang Xiaozi looked deeply at Qiuren, and then nodded to Sui. "Sir, I will make good mission arrangements and arrange a few soldiers to follow him." "Well, make sure nothing goes wrong. Yes, sir. Qiuren, you are now. Sui looked at Qiuren and waved his hand, go and have a good rest. You don't have to stay in the infirmary these days. Boss, is it true? Of course it's true. Sui spread his hands, I don't want Dr. Chen to think that I am a capitalist and squeeze you every day. You are indeed a good boss. Qiuren praised sincerely, then I'll go first. By the way, boss, this is my gift to you. I hope you like it. Before Qiuren left, he placed a small box on the table. This was a white box with no markings. Sui was a little curious and raised his head to look at Qiuren, who was walking out of the door. What is this? Medicine. Qiuren's voice came from outside the door and gradually faded away. The medicine that satisfies Miss Jiang, the medicine that makes her happy. Grass. It turns out to be herbal medicine. Chapter 54 More interesting skills. Turn on the remote view. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sir, I'm going to find Lin Yu. Jiang Xiaozi lowered her head, seeming a little afraid to look into Su Yi's eyes. She whispered, Lin Yu and the others have returned. Today's mission still needs personnel adjustments. Send some people to follow Qiuren at night. Taiwan Novel Network. Well, go ahead. Sui nodded. He looked at the medicine box in his hand and suddenly shouted to Jiang Xiaozi, who was about to leave, Xiaozi, what should I do with this medicine? Jiang Xiaozi's back trembled slightly, and she whispered without looking back, it's up to you, sir. After that, she left quickly. I have the final say. Sui touched the medicine box in his hand and thought, is this a hint? Well, I can think about it at night. As Jiang Xiaozi left, Sui entered a happy otaku time again. Nothing happened during the day, and the whole morning was spent in a game of games. Sui also thought about making good use of his talent skills and finding an unlucky survivor to try the effect first. But the survivors around here were cleared out by Lin Yu and others, and there were few survivors in the entire community. Sui couldn't go to look for them himself, so he had to put it aside for the time being. It's almost noon. The timer on Sui's watch rang. He glanced at the time and stretched. I don't know what today's reward will be like. According to the current development of the shelter, what am I in urgent need of? Sui thought, safety is guaranteed, there are enough talents, and there are entertainment methods. What's missing, is it a way for the shelter to expand rapidly? Sui thought, and felt that this was really possible. He now basically figured out that the talent reward may not be for Sui himself, but covers the entire shelter. According to Sui's development plan, the shelter is now gradually expanding outward, and the talent reward is likely related to this. After another hour, Sui appeared in front of him. Congratulations. The talent reward was triggered, and the C-level skill Eye of Missing was obtained. Eye of Missing, C-level skill, active skill. After using the skill, you can obtain the perspective of all residents in the shelter, and the duration is based on the user's physical strength. During the duration of the skill, you can also consume additional physical strength to convey your voice to the current viewer, which will consume a lot of physical strength. Remarks. Any creature that lives in the shelter for more than 72 hours is considered a resident of the shelter. This skill is a bit like an entertainment skill. Sui was stunned for a while, thinking, the talent thinks that I am too bored to stay at home every day, so I open a Sky Eye reward so that I can see the outside scene at home. For this skill, Sui's first thought is to obtain the perspective of Lin Yu and other warriors going out to explore. Although the Doomsday has been open for many days, the chaotic outside world is always more exciting than the unchanging bedroom, of course. This skill can not only be used on Lin Yu and other warriors who go out, but also on every resident in the shelter, as long as Sui wants. Even if the girls are taking a bath, Sui can watch at any time. Of course, Sui doesn't have this bad taste. This skill seems to be very suitable for the parasitic skill I got yesterday. Sui studied it carefully and suddenly realized that these two skills are a perfect match. The parasitic skill is very strong, but the only limitation comes from Sui's talent. Because of his talent, Sui must spend a lot of time at home every day and cannot go out, which directly leads to Suyi's difficulty in contacting outsiders. The people he can contact are all the core talents under his command, not suitable parasitic targets. For example, now, if there are no good means and targets, Suyi's parasitic skills may be delayed for a long time and cannot be used. If you can't contact people, you can't complete the parasitism. The prerequisite for parasitism is at least to touch or see the target, but now with this C-level, I have missing, skill, Suyi's parasitic skills do not need to leave the shelter in person, but only need to use the perspective of Lin Yu and other people who go out to complete the parasitism. This talent reward is great, it's what I need right now. Suyi was happy. Although I haven't experimented with whether parasitism can be accomplished from a remote perspective, since this skill has appeared, it is likely that parasitism can be accomplished through it. Talent rewards are never given to useless things. Since it is given, Suyi will definitely use it. Hurry up and try it. Suyi turned off the computer, he couldn't wait to try his new skills. According to the time, Lin Yu and the others should have been on the road for a while. I'll go to Xiaozi to ask about today's mission arrangements. Suyi quickly went downstairs and found Zhang Xiaozi to get today's personnel mission arrangements. The girls continued to repair and strengthen the various facilities in the shelter. Liya was still tinkering with her research in the room, and by the way, she created different new tools for the shelter. Qiuren was sleeping soundly in the room, and 3 soldiers were carrying out 3 exploration tasks respectively. The remaining 8 soldiers, including Lin Yu, were divided into 3 combat teams in a 3-3 system, and continued to carry out routine outing tasks such as exploration, investigation, and patrol. Sir, you are not interested in these things on weekdays, why are you so concerned today? After Zhang Xiaozi finished the task arrangement, he asked curiously. I got a good thing, very fun. Suyi smiled mysteriously, then went upstairs quickly, reciting the skill in his heart. Use the skill Eye of Missing, miss the target resident, Lin Yu. As Suyi used the skill, he suddenly felt a strange light in front of his eyes. Soon, Suyi, who was sitting on the sofa, felt as if he was blind, and there was darkness in front of him. After a few breaths, Suyi regained his sight, but what he saw was no longer the environment in the bedroom, but the constantly moving outside perspective, from the picture. This should be Lin Yu's perspective. She was vigilantly searching around with her eyes, walking and stopping with the team. The surrounding environment looked like a street in the community, surrounded by dilapidated community green plants, and the street under her feet had already cracked and bulged. Next to her were 2 soldiers in the gathering place, Sniper Lu Roy and Communication Soldier Li Yang. This feeling was very novel. Suyi felt like he was sitting on a sofa, wearing a virtual helmet, playing a super-realistic visual exploration game. Suyi carefully felt his physical strength, and it was not lost too much. With an experimental mentality, he silently spoke to Lin Yu in his heart. Lin Yu? Lin Yu. Lin Yu, who was walking fast, suddenly stopped. She looked around with a sharp gaze, her body suddenly tensed, and the muzzle of the gun in her hand kept adjusting the direction with the perspective. The 2 soldiers also noticed that something was wrong with Lin Yu. Sniper Lu Roy quickly climbed over the community fitness facilities with a bow and hid in the bushes. Signalman Li Yang quickly came behind Lin Yu and formed the defensive posture with her back to back. Captain Lin, what's going on? Li Yang held his pistol and searched around vigilantly, while lowering his voice to ask, are there any enemies? I heard the chief's voice. Lin Yu lowered his voice and squinted his eyes slightly. This is not an auditory hallucination, I really heard it. The chief is at home, how can I hear his voice without a communication walkie-talkie? I remember that the chief said that many survivors have special abilities, which may mean that we are being targeted. Someone is pretending to be the chief to communicate with me. Chapter 55, Community-Wide Clearing Plan. Soldiers Rescue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Suyi was stunned. He found that he could not only see Lin Yu's perspective, but also hear the voices around her, but Lin Yu seemed too alert. She didn't respond to Suyi's voice at all, thinking that this was the innate ability of a survivor. Lin Yu, it's really me. I have mastered new skills. I can share your perspective. Suyi tried to make more sounds. He could feel his physical strength draining away, but not much, and he could still hold on. Sure enough, someone is eyeing us. Lin Yu became more alert, with hair all over her body, and she was almost ready to shoot at any time. This voice and tone are exactly the same as the chief. Li Yang, be careful. If you hear any voice, remember not to believe it blindly. The survivors in this city have many magical abilities. I have seen immortals before. Lin Yu still didn't respond, kept turning around, and searched around with a stern look. This little girl is too vigilant. Sui sighed, but this is also a good thing. As a soldier going out to explore, being too cautious and vigilant is always better than being conceited and careless. Lin Yu, it's really me. Sui watched Lin Yu remain silent, took a deep breath, and threw out his trump card. When you were injured before, I took care of you. There are 2 moles on the inside of your thigh. And, there is no hair. Chief. Lin Yu was shocked and blurted out, it's really the chief. Only Sui and Li Yan knew this secret in the entire shelter, because Lin Yu was only injured that time, and only Sui and Li Yan had seen her body. Now you believe it. Sui smiled helplessly, I can share your perspective now. This is my new skill, but I can't communicate with you too frequently. It's easy to consume physical strength. I can hear what you say and see what you see. I plan to use this perspective to find a suitable parasitic target. Sui explained as briefly as possible. There was a look of surprise in Lin Yu's beautiful eyes. It felt incredible, but she gradually accepted it. As long as it's really the chief, it's fine. Of course, she was still a little wary in her heart, but just nodded silently and said softly, I know, chief. Observe first, and then confirm with the chief in person when you return to the gathering place. Is it really the chief? Li Yang asked beside him. Lin Yu shook his head and nodded, execute the mission first, and talk about it when you get back. Remove the alert. Yes. Lu Rui wanted to walk out of the bushes, but was stopped by Lin Yu, follow us and hide. The goal of our team today is to thoroughly search the community where our shelter is located. There are many buildings and bunkers here, and Lu Rui's hiding will be more useful. Lin Yu explained this to Sui. If this is not the real chief, once he knows that there is a hidden sniper in his team, he will have some concerns. Sui did not speak, but just watched Lin Yu's instructions and arrangements silently. After Lin Yu gave the order, he began to walk towards the room on the left. Our shelter is the 6th building in the community. It is known that there are a total of 12 buildings in this community. Let's start searching from the 1st floor. Try to check all floors before dark. Remember Miss Jiang's order, try to spread our influence as much as possible, and ensure the safety around the shelter. Although Miss Jiang allows us to fire freely, as long as they are not real villains, we should not hurt anyone casually. Lin Yu's style of doing things is more compassionate than the other 10 soldiers. If he really encounters the elderly, the weak, the sick and the disabled, even if they are hostile, Lin Yu may not be able to do it. This is also the reason why Jiang Xiaozi asked Lin Yu to carry out the task of searching the entire community. Jiang Xiaozi wanted to use Lin Yu's character to send a friendly signal to the survivors who may exist in the community. Of course, even if the other party misunderstood or targeted Lin Yu, and Lin Yu did not solve the enemy quickly and promptly, Jiang Xiaozi could naturally arrange the other soldiers to solve the enemy, and at the same time suppress and remind Lin Yu of her kindness, so that she would not make the same mistake again next time. Although the community where Sui lives is an old one, it covers a large area and the distance between each building is relatively spacious. Lin Yu's team did not hide their figures and actions. She walked straight to the 1st floor vigilantly and searched every house from the 1st floor. Excuse me. Is there anyone inside? We are other survivors in the community. We have no ill intentions. We just come to gather everyone to resist the doomsday together. Lin Yu knocked on the doors softly with the butt of the insulating material and asked loudly. Li Yang stood far behind her, holding a gun and guarding. The 2 of them could take care of each other. I know everyone may be wary. If you want to contact us, you can go to Building 6, the one with the wall. We are soldiers. We promise to provide protection, food and water, and are committed to restoring the original peaceful order of the community. Lin Yu shouted several times, and there was no movement on the first floor. She turned around and continued to search the rest of the floors. Captain Lin, why don't we break in and take a look? No need. Miss Jiang said that we shouldn't leave a bad impression on any possible survivors. It would be detrimental to the reputation of our shelter. Lin Yu shook her head. Miss Jiang said that we just need to reveal our military identity appropriately. As for the right to choose, let the survivors inside decide for themselves. The community search plan formulated by Jiang Xiaozi is relatively mild in the early stage, of course, based on Lin Yu's understanding of her. Jiang Xiaozi's subsequent methods must be very bloody. This is a neutral strategy of first courtesy and then force. Lin Yu hopes to try her best to gather the survivors in the community when Jiang Xiaozi's methods are mild. Don't annoy this woman. She plans to completely clear all areas in the community within 2 days. Once this time node is exceeded, she will directly pick up the butcher knife. Fortunately, Lin Yu's worries did not last too long. After going up to the second floor, a timid and panicked questioning voice came from the house where Lin Yu had just knocked. You are really soldiers? Yes. Liar. You are liars. Soldiers have all gone to the Doomsday War dungeon world. There is no regular army in the country now. We are not the People's Liberation Army, and of course we will not hurt you. Lin Yu said sincerely, if you need rescue, open the door. If not, we will leave. Squeak. The old wooden door was slowly opened, revealing a gap through the security door. There was a woman with disheveled hair inside, looking up and down at Lin Yu outside with a suspicious look. Hello. Lin Yu had a serious expression, holding a rifle, and stood straight. She was wearing military camouflage uniforms, and her appearance when equipped with a gun was exactly the same as the image of the army soldiers that the Chinese people had seen. The same righteous temperament and firm eyes made people involuntarily trust and rely on her. Really, a soldier? A female soldier, that the woman inside was mumbling, and the voice of a big boy could be vaguely heard. Mom, this is a rescue, a rescuer. No, it's too dangerous. Her origin is unknown. What if she is a bad person after we open the door? She has a gun. If she wanted to kill us, she would have broken in long ago. We have nothing to eat at home. There is only half a bucket of instant noodles left. What can she steal? We only have one rotten life. Maybe, the Doomsday War doesn't need female soldiers. As long as he is really a soldier, we will be saved. That there was a brief quarrel inside, and soon the woman opened the door, revealing her body, blocking the 3 big boys behind her. Lin Yu took a look and saw that it seemed to be a junior high school student, a minor. Su Yi knew through the chat channel that at the beginning of the Doomsday outbreak, minors who had no self-protection ability and elderly people who could not take care of themselves would not get independent shelters, but would stay in the same shelter with their immediate family members. Lin Yu also knew this, and was not surprised. He just nodded to the woman. Hello, I'm here to rescue you. You're really a soldier? That the woman was a little surprised. She hesitated for a moment, but slowly opened the security door. For the Chinese people, people with guns are not necessarily villains. If she is wearing a military uniform, she is likely to be the people's savior. If her professional identity can be confirmed, then there is no doubt that she is the most trustworthy person. I may not trust my family, but I must trust the country's soldiers. This is unique in the world. Chapter 56 Comrade, I am also a disaster victim. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The security door was opened, and the woman did not notice any hostile behavior from Lin Yu. Lin Yu pointed his gun downward and said to the woman, Are these the only people in the house? Is there anything to pack? If possible, I can take you to the 6th building, where our gathering place can provide safety for survivors who have no ability to protect themselves. If you don't want to go, we won't force you, but I need to register the basic information. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Lin Yu strictly carried out the task process and tried his best to express his goodwill. Are you here to save us? That the woman's eyes widened and she asked urgently, How many of you are here? Have the large forces entered the city? How long will it take to liberate us? Without a large force, we don't have enough strength. Lin Yu said patiently, at present, we can only try our best to ensure the safety of survivors in this community. It's not like rescue is entering the city. The woman's face was full of disappointment. The army she expected to enter the city did not happen, the savior didn't come, but a woman who looked like a soldier came. Oh, and there was a male soldier standing next to her. What if, we don't go with you? A boy behind the woman spoke timidly and spoke very directly, you are not the People's Liberation Army. I don't believe you. Sorry, military control is now being implemented in the community, and all survivors will be collected into the 6th building for unified management and distribution. Li Yang spoke in a deep voice without letting Lin Yu explain, this is a mission order signed by the chief. We can provide security, but for the safety of more survivors and the chief, we also do not allow unstable factors to destroy this mission. Safe. Lin Yu remained silent. She knew that Li Yang felt that he was too gentle to this group of mothers and children, which affected the efficiency of the task. Would you like to come with us? Li Yang asked. The woman hesitated slightly, gritted her teeth and nodded, they are all soldiers, there must be no difference. I will go with you. Anyway, there's nothing to eat at home. If I go to your place, can you give me something to eat? Is there any food distributed? Yes, but you can't just eat for free. Li Yang nodded, distribution according to work, no one can live for free. It's the end of the world now, and the supplies in the shelter are limited. Of course, I won't let you do dangerous things. The most you can do is cleaning and strengthening the city wall defense. Okay, I understand. The woman nodded repeatedly, the country is in trouble, and it is not easy for you either. We will obey the arrangements and the distribution. Li Yang nodded and was about to speak, but unexpectedly the door next to him was opened. Aha! Li Yang reacted instantly and took aim with the gun. Don't shoot! Don't shoot! The wooden door of the neighboring household was opened, and a shirtless fat man came out, shouting and raising his hands, Comrade. I am also a disaster victim. I will go with you too. Don't leave me behind. Li Yang frowned, have you been eavesdropping just now? What do you mean by eavesdropping? How can you, a comrade, talk? The fat man was unhappy and rolled his eyes, aren't you just here to save me? I'm also taking the initiative to cooperate. It's not difficult for you to do your job. Isn't this good? Li Yang was speechless, if you want to put it this way, it really makes sense, this man was indeed very self-conscious, and it saved Li Yang from knocking on the door again. Well, Captain Lin, let's continue the search. Li Yang looked at Lin Yu, who nodded, turned around and led the team to continue. During the search that lasted for 3 hours, Lin Yu found many survivors in the community. There were a total of 25 people in the first building alone, and at least half of the shelters were open. Of course, their own situation is not very good either. Most of them are in short supply of supplies and are unable to survive. After the search for survivors in the first building was completed, Lin Yu returned and took the group back to the shelter. Jiang Xiaozi had already arranged for Sister Li and her people to wait near the city wall. After seeing Lin Yu's return, Sister Li's eyes lit up and she greeted the survivors behind Lin Yu. Come on, everyone is queuing up here, everyone must prepare registration information, including their family situation, member status, their occupation, age, etc. The talents of the shelter must also be revealed. Deliberate concealment is not allowed here. This will destroy subsequent arrangements. Once anyone is found to have concealed it deliberately, he will be expelled directly. Sister Li greeted loudly, and suddenly several women in the crowd of survivors asked in surprise. Huh? Isn't that Sister Li? Look! It's really Lao Li. I didn't expect Lao Li to be here too. I said it must be the People's Liberation Army. What is Lao Li's identity? She is from the neighborhood committee. Of course she will do things here. Hey! Lao Li, why didn't you tell me about this earlier? You made me hungry at home for several days. Many of the survivors seemed to know Sister Lee and greeted her warmly. Sister Lee also seemed to be a different person, with a spring breeze on her face. She seemed to have regained her glorious moments of walking around the neighborhood in peacetime while maneuvering around the place. It seems that Jiang Xiaozi's personnel arrangements are very accurate. Sui had cancelled his skills and stood by the window looking down. Having Sister Lee take charge of the reception can significantly reduce the vigilance of the other survivors. Successfully gathering the survivors in the community can reduce the uncontrollable risk factors around the shelter, and can also enhance the number advantage of the shelter and the force that can be mobilized. Sui has changed a lot now, and he can easily see the purpose of Jiang Xiaozi's arrangement. By bringing the survivors with Lin Yu's military identity and comforting them with Sister Lee's former profession, it is easy to pull up the external force of the shelter and bring in more labor. After all, the strength of a force is largely judged by the number of people. In the overall development plan formulated by Jiang Xiaozi for the shelter, Sui must build his own shelter force. Come on, we all live near the door, we are all acquaintances, so let's not be polite. Sister Lee was smiling. She seemed to be very good at doing this kind of thing, but let's be frank. Everyone knows my character. I will do whatever I say, don't disrupt the order. Otherwise, I will be the first one to be punished before the leader speaks. Cooperate with my work, line up, don't make noise. Try to show the excellent quality of our community, that while Sister Lee was coordinating, Lin Yu had already left with the team members quietly, and they were going to continue to the rest of the buildings. Lin Yu was very efficient, and in just one afternoon, she completed the search of 10 buildings and brought more than 300 survivors. According to Suyi's perspective of observing Lin Yu, it can be easily seen that most of the survivors were very cooperative, basically, as long as Lin Yu knocked on the door and stood at the door. With her female identity and upright temperament, it was basically no difficulty to bring the survivors hiding in the shelter. To look at this from another angle, this is really breaking the shelter of most of the community without bloodshed. Sui couldn't help but sigh at Jiang Xiaozi's tricky plan. She completely grasped the trust of the people in this era in the military, and cleverly let Lin Yu perform this task, and took over most of the community with almost no effort. The mission took less than a day. What surprised Sui even more was that he frequently observed the color of his watch throughout the afternoon. The watch always showed blue. This means that among the more than 300 survivors, there is no malice in their hearts towards Suyi's shelter. All of them trust and rely on it. This sounds incredible, but Sui thought about it carefully, and it was really the case. If Sui encountered the situation of the army entering the city on the first day of the Doomsday, he might have followed the soldiers. After all, at that time he had not really felt the reward of his talent, and he would not give up his hope of being rescued because of something that had not yet been realized. In the face of the army entering the city, any hesitation for a second would be disrespectful to the people's soldiers. This is too smooth. Sui watched the night gradually fall, muttering, the whole community is so easily planned and managed. Everyone is so cooperative. Really, this will make me a little stressed. Sui sighed deeply, and he suddenly felt a heavy burden on his shoulders. This group of people's unconditional trust in the shelter is basically all because of the identity of soldiers, but Lin Yu and others are not the original soldiers of this world. There is a misunderstanding here, and Jiang Xiaozi deliberately made a wrong guidance. Forget it, at least what I did was actually no different from rescue. It's just a misunderstanding, I didn't do anything to them. Sui took a deep breath and quickly adjusted his mood. By the way, Lin Yu went to the last building and should be back soon. The cleanup of the entire community is almost over, and the next stage is. Before Suyi's thoughts unfold, a burst of dense gunfire suddenly came from deep in the community. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Bang. Bang bang bang. This is the frequency of rifle and pistol shooting, which sounds very intense. Sui was stunned for a moment, and he quickly looked up. There was a flash of gunfire in the darkness of a certain community under the night sky. That was the direction where Lin Yu's team went, and they encountered the enemy. Chapter 57 Honest and Trustworthy Qiuren. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Someone shot. Oh my god, are we going to have a war here? Let me in, Lao Li. Let me go in and hide. Taiwan Novel Network. Downstairs, the survivors who were still queuing up to register outside the walls suddenly panicked, and the crowd showed signs of rioting as they poured into the wall. Calm down. Don't be afraid. Everyone be quiet. Sister Lee seemed very courageous at this time. She stepped forward and shouted loudly, "Do everything well. The soldiers must have encountered something outside, but it has nothing to do with us. Someone above will naturally handle it. Believe in the soldiers. Believe in our armed forces. Everyone, be quiet and continue to line up. Don't cause chaos. The more critical the disaster situation, the more we must be orderly and not cause chaos to the organization." Sister Lee's few words really calmed the crowd. Of course, this was mainly because Sister Lee and the girls blocked the entrance and exit of the city wall, and everyone was unable to rush in at once. The crowd could only suppress their inner fear and wait silently in the darkness. The speed of queuing to register also accelerated a lot amid the dense gunfire in the distance. Sui glanced downstairs and found that Qiuren had woken up at some point and was leaning on the wall not far from the boarding gate, playing with a knife in his hand. He was probably left behind by Jiang Xiaozi to serve as a temporary thug for Sister Lee. However, most of the survivors who are willing to come to the shelter to register are honest and responsible residents who have the traditional hardworking characteristics of the Chinese people. This group of people is mainly about being submissive and obedient, and it is difficult for them to cause any large-scale troubles. The dishonest person is probably at war with Lin Yu and the others. Sui murmured, sat back on the sofa, activated the skill, and connected to Lin Yu's perspective. After Sui reconnected, his eyes were filled with darkness. He couldn't see anything, but he could hear Lin Yu's calm breathing and the muzzle of the gun she raised from time to time. At this moment, Lin Yu was hiding in the blind corner of the corridor, forming an angle with Li Yang in the corridor downstairs. The place they targeted was a family on the 5th floor of the 7th unit building. Sui tried hard to observe, and he could see in the dim outline that the door of this house was not made of wood, and it seemed to have obvious changes. The shelter has been initially renovated, and there are also firearms. Sui murmured analysis. He did not disturb Lin Yu who was fighting, but just observed silently. He believed in Lin Yu. This was not a big threat to Lin Yu. Now Lin Yu holds a rifle with unlimited bullets, his talent level has been upgraded, and he has 2 military teammates. As for the intensity of firepower Lin Yu faced now, Sui judged that it was not even as good as the firepower that Brother Li and the others had at the time. Bang! Bang bang bang. Sui listened carefully to the gunshots. It seemed that the enemy only had 3 or 4 pistols. There were no long guns or grenades or other corridor killers. It looks like there's more than one survivor in this family. Generally, it is difficult for underage children and the elderly to have outstanding fighting ability. If this reason is excluded, there are survivors from other shelters in this family. Did they form a small group in advance to survive? Or did someone destroy other people's shelters and capture prisoners for control? Sui thought about it and felt that the former was very likely. He had seen similar solicitation messages in the city chat channel before. A small number of shelters were calling on survivors with poor talents and urgent supplies to come out of their shelters and join them. Instead of staying at home and waiting to die, we should decisively abandon the shelter and form a stronger force together to improve the group's survival probability in the apocalyptic disaster. While Sui was thinking, he heard the calm shout from Li Yang downstairs. People inside, give up useless resistance. Give up your weapons and surrender is your only way out. Only with a good attitude can we win leniency from our shelter, otherwise we will all be shot on the spot. Li Yang's words were really shouted out in a decent way, but the people inside the shelter didn't listen at all. They responded to Li Yang with pistol bullets and a man's shouting. You're so fucking arrogant. Do you really think you're a soldier? Don't think I don't know that all the soldiers have been abducted by aliens. You are just like me, you just have a gun. Don't think that you are great just because you are wearing a military uniform. Don't think of yourself as a human being. I saw what you guys did today. The guy in Building 6 wants to sweep up the community, right? He wants to be the boss, but I'm not convinced. If you have the ability, ask him to invite me in person. Otherwise, you won't be able to enter this door today. I will kill anyone who comes. That the man inside is very arrogant and seems to have enough confidence. Sui estimated that this guy's talent was definitely not bad, based on the combat effectiveness he has shown so far. If there are no accidents, there is a high probability that he will become the second brotherly and can easily rule a building, or to be precise, this guy has most likely taken down this unit building, but at a slower pace. Unexpectedly, Sui has already started the task of cleaning up the entire community. Sui could hear this buddy's dissatisfaction. He was like a warlord with military power. Who would be happy if you asked him to lower his head and do things for others? It is true that the Chinese people are honest and responsible, but if there are guns and people in their hands and the world is in chaos, the honest and responsible Chinese people will also shout. Princes, generals, and prime ministers would rather have their own kind. Yes, this nation is so wonderful. Last warning. Li Yang shouted coldly, if you don't surrender, we will kill them all. I'm afraid of your eggs. If you have the ability, come in. The people in the room were extremely arrogant and their voices were domineering. You only have 2 people and 2 guns. I have 7 people and 4 guns. I can kill you all. Even if we talk about the eldest brother, it's the grandson from Building 6 who comes to kowtow to me and recognize me as my eldest brother. Tonight, if you have the ability, rush in. If you dare to come in, I will kowtow to you. Damn. This bastard is so crazy. Li Yang frowned. He had the urge to break the goal and was sure to do it. Both he and Lin Yu were experienced in many battles, and they could attack this house despite the risk of injury, not to mention that there was a sniper Lu Rui outside with a compound bow. Don't be impulsive. Lin Yu's cold voice came from downstairs. She seemed to feel the anger in Li Yang's heart. Lu Rui didn't shoot the arrow. This is the signal he gave. With Lu Rui's skill, he should have taken aim by now, but he has not yet shot an arrow to provide us with an environment for a strong attack. I guess there is something weird in this door. Lu Rui doesn't dare to let us attack rashly. Lin Yu assessed the situation in a deep voice. At this moment of lack of communication means, Lin Yu could only rely on the previously formulated tactical communication to think about the indoor environment that Lu Rui might see at this time. She had reminded Lu Rui earlier that sniping should be used to provide cover for their attack when necessary and also serve as a signal for them to launch an attack. If Lu Rui doesn't take action, there must be something weird in this room. Listening to the enemy's clamoring tone, it was obvious that he was confident. Lin Yu couldn't help but think of Suyi's advice. The survivors in this world all have weird abilities. If you are careless, you may capsize in the gutter. Then let's just wait. Li Yang frowned, and Lin Yu knocked on the wall, making a rhythmic sound. This was a signal, and she asked Li Yang to wait for support. The intensive gunfire just now was caused by Lin Yu on purpose. She took off the silencer and started a fierce gun battle just to alert the shelter not far away. She believed that with Jiang Xiaozi's intelligence, he would definitely be able to provide better tactical support. At this moment, Sui also felt that Lin Yu was riding a tiger. Lin Yu didn't dare to be careless because the Ming Pai on the opposite side had some special means. He couldn't attack this house for a while. At the same time, he had to be wary of whether new enemies might emerge from the closed doors upstairs and downstairs to attack. This situation was very unfavorable for Lin Yu. She and Li Yang could only suppress each other and walk out, but they couldn't attack in. We have to send someone to support. It's just 3 people. I'm afraid we won't be able to win this family. Sui made a decisive judgment. He had already seen that this family was hardcore and refused to accept weakness. Since soft food is not enough, then serve hard food. Sui interrupted the skill and was about to get up and go downstairs, but saw Jiang Xiaozi already standing at the door. Xiaozi, you came just in time, Sui said in a deep voice. Send someone to support Lin Yu. She encountered an enemy. I judged that she should be a survivor with special talents. Sir, I am here to report this matter to you. Jiang Xiaozi spoke gently and lowered his head to report. The other soldiers have not returned to the team yet, so I asked Qiuren to rush over. He went there. Sui frowned. He only has a gun. I'm afraid it's not very safe. Why don't you let Qiuren go out and tell the other soldiers to return to the team quickly? Sir, Qiuren said he can complete the task. How can he accomplish this? If he is the one who poisoned, how can he attack and kill people without poison? Sir, he said he still had some poison. Jiang Xiaozi helplessly spread his hands, seeming a little surprised. He just said it himself, saying that he still has a little bit of neurotoxin left, just enough to support Lin Yu. A little? Just enough. Sui was stunned and blurted out, this lunatic. Did he lie to me again? I don't believe he really has a little left. That how could it be such a coincidence that during the day he said he had used up, and at night he suddenly said like a magic trick that he still had poison. What? Can't you tell the truth from your mouth? Gentlemen. Jiang Xiaozi hesitated and said with a wry smile, he asked me to give you a message. He said, if the boss calls me a liar, tell the boss that I really didn't lie to him this time. I, Qiuren, am a top 10 good employee who is honest and trustworthy. Also, this operation can be considered temporary overtime. Jiang Xiaozi lowered his head, these are his exact words. Chapter 58 An Unexpected Reward, The Guard Robot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Top 10 employees. Sui rolled his eyes. I can give you a face for this sentence, but I don't believe in honesty and trustworthiness. This madman, his style of doing things is too unruly. Then, Sui sat back on the sofa and began to connect with Lin Yu's perspective. He also wanted to connect with Qiuren's perspective, but this guy had not lived in a shelter for more than 72 hours. Soon, Sui's sight returned to the darkness in the corridor, the confrontation in the corridor. Continued. Lin Yu did not attack, and the people inside were afraid to come out. They could only continue to shout, as if they were sure that as long as they were in the room, they would be safe. The stalemate lasted for about 30 minutes, and Sui heard a burst of panicked voices coming from the room of the residents in the corridor. Old Third. Old Third, what's wrong with you? Fuck. Old Third is poisoned, why is he bleeding from all 7 orifices? Boss, why is your nose thumping? There's smoke, where is this smoke coming from? A commotion and screams continued, followed by the sound of bodies falling down. Lin Yu and Li Yang were startled, but before they could say anything, they heard crisp footsteps coming from the street downstairs, and soon they heard Qiuren's lazy voice. Captain Lin, don't hide, everyone inside is dead. As soon as the voice fell, Lin Yu's tactical flashlight shone down, and saw Qiuren leaning against the wall, smoking happily. The boss asked me to support you, the matter is resolved, I'm going back. Qiuren waved his hand at the corridor, stretched and turned around and left. Overtime is over, go home and sleep. Damn, I seem to have to work the night shift tonight, it's really annoying. The man left complaining, as if he came just to pass on a message. Lin Yu gestured to Li Yang, and the two of them broke through the door in a tactical formation and entered the room. Under the light of the tactical flashlight, all they could see were corpses of men and women lying on the ground. All of them were lying in a pool of blood, their faces were purple, and they were bleeding from all 7 orifices. They were obviously poisoned to death. In the air, there was still a faint white smoke that had not dissipated. Lin Yu frowned slightly, covered her mouth and nose, and began to quickly check the battlefield. After checking, she found a special arrow on the ground. This was the arrow shot by Lu Rui, and there was a broken small bottle near the arrowhead. He asked Lu Rui to shoot the poison in, and then he solved the people in the room. Lin Yu murmured, and the chaotic scene that had just appeared in the house had already appeared in her mind. In the small room, the power of Qiuren's poison was infinitely expanded. Captain Lin, there is a robot here, Li Yang suddenly called out, squatting on the ground, and rummaging through the corpses to find a complete male robot body. It has the body of an adult, and looks like a human, but its skin is covered with metallic luster, and there are several pairs of electronic eyes on its head, arms, knees, shoulders. Weapon parts can be seen everywhere on its body, with black barrels and muzzles. It looks like a Terminator-type killer. Is this their confidence? Lin Yu frowned. She tried to knock on the robot's body, making a dull metallic sound. This guy has strong defense, it doesn't look like it can be penetrated by ordinary bullets. Strange, they have such a weapon, why don't they let it come out to destroy us? Lin Yu couldn't figure it out, but Sui could see it clearly. He found that he could directly see the item information of this robot through Lin Yu's perspective. I love my home, D6612 model guard robot, a gifted item for the shelter. It can grow with the level of the shelter, and each time the shelter is upgraded, its 3 states can be adjusted: guarding form, assisting form, and research form. It is loyal and powerful, and is the best helper for the shelter. But it cannot leave the scope of the shelter, and its range of activities is limited to the inside of the shelter. A robot caused by a gifted reward, Sui murmured. There is such a thing, it's really perverted. No wonder these guys are so confident. If Lin Yu breaks the door by force, he will be beaten into a sieve by this robot. By the way, if this robot has a gun barrel, why doesn't it fire outward at the entrance of the shelter? Is the attack range of its weapon also limited to the range of the shelter? Or is this thug worried that the robot's gun barrel is too powerful and will collapse the old building? That this robot is just an object of extraordinary combat power at first glance. With this thing at home, the defense power is simply off the charts. As long as it is not a natural disaster like an earthquake that directly destroys the shelter, ordinary man-made disasters cannot threaten the owner of the shelter at all. Oh, of course, except for Qiuren's poison. This thing has growth potential. What a powerful talent. Sui sighed, a little envious. He thought, if there is such a robot in his shelter, wouldn't it be great? After the threat to this family was eliminated, Lin Yu carried out the cleaning plan according to the task process, counting the supplies left in the shelter and any places where people might hide. Jiang Xiaozi emphasized to her more than once that as long as the war started, it was necessary to ensure that there were no survivors of the enemy. Cutting the grass and eradicating the roots is the first element in the Doomsday world, but with such a delay, Lin Yu and Li Yang stayed in the current shelter for just over 30 minutes. Sui saw a new prompt message appearing in front of him. Your talent Lin Yu destroyed a level 0 shelter, and you inherited the survival points of the current shelter, 263 points. Item Inheritance Judgment in progress. Inheritance successful. You obtain the current shelter storage items Robot Maintenance Facilities and Instruction Manual, Command Mark Emblem, I love my home, D6612 Model Guard Robot. Sui was stunned. He looked at the information in front of him and couldn't help but widen his eyes. Fuck. This robot was inherited by me. Wait, isn't it a shelter talent? Isn't the talent not inheritable? Sui blinked. He quickly exited the connection perspective and opened the reserve information panel of the shelter interface. He saw that the robot was here. Take it out. Sui quickly took the robot out of the shelter reserve panel. It was indeed that robot. It had been moved from that room to Suyi's front. It was still lying on the ground silently, as if it had not been activated, and the information above its head had not changed. It seems to have been used as a shelter item, and then I inherited it. Sui frowned. He couldn't wake up the robot, so he had to give up for the time being and began to check the other 2 inherited items. The first one was the Robot Maintenance Facilities and Instructions, which was a stack of papers that clearly recorded the origin, usage, and upgrade module directions of the robot. Sui just glanced at it and was immediately delighted. What a pleasant surprise. I can actually use this robot. Chapter 59 Super Abnormal Data Robot. A killer weapon for guarding the house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. According to the manual, Sui indirectly learned about the talent of the original owner of the robot. The original owner's talent is to create a powerful robot that is directly loyal to the shelter. The robot has 3 forms, and the original owner's talent can change the 3 forms of the robot at any time. If the robot is damaged or lost, the original owner's talent can regain the lost robot after 24 hours. However, the original owner can only have 1 gifted robot at the same time, but this manual also emphasizes one point: the robot created by talent belongs to the shelter's items. It does not belong to the talent itself, it is an item created by the talent, and it also belongs to the category of shelter items, which means that it can be inherited by others. If it is just like this, other people can only get an empty shell robot that cannot be started. But this robot has a control system that recognizes the owner and has a Command Mark Emblem. Command Mark Emblem is a small and special circular emblem. through which the command sequence number can be set for the robot. The original owner is the first command sequence that cannot be changed, which is the highest loyalty target of the robot that cannot be replaced. In addition, the command mark emblem can also set the second and third sequence users. The manual explains that the command mark emblem is an accessory item of the robot product. Its existence is to allow the shelter owner to authorize the control of the robot when he cannot control the robot, so as to achieve an all-weather operation mode, where the robot can still run even when the person is not there. And now, the original owner is dead. He is dead. Although the first sequence of the robot cannot be changed, Sui can use the command mark emblem to mark himself as the second sequence command object of the robot. This means that I am its only owner. Sui looked at the small emblem in his hand and felt a little excited. The only function of this emblem is to modify and replace the robot's command authority, although it is not as powerful and secure as the first sequence of the original owner, but after all, this is a free pickup. It is a bloody profit if it can be used. Add the second sequence to identify my biological signal. Sui looked at the manual and began to operate tentatively, bringing the emblem close to the robot's chest. Ding ding ding, the electronic eye on the robot's head revived, showing a red light and making a crisp sound at the same time. The light wave also lit up on its chest, flowing through the body along the control system in the body. A new command sequence has been detected. Confirm that the information is correct. Ask the first sequence whether to add a new command sequence. Ask failed, the first sequence has no response, suspected death, and the command is repeated. Follow the operating rules, start detecting new sequences. The second sequence has no response. The third sequence has no response. No sequence response. Follow the operating rules, identify command badge as the highest command indicator, and agree to add a new sequence. Identifying the biological information of the new sequence, identification successful. Added successfully. The robot quickly stood up in front of Sui with a sound of points. Hello, my master, I love my home model D6612 is at your service. The robot's voice was crisp, announcing that it had successfully pledged allegiance to Sui. Sui looked at the robot with surprise, and he could also see a more detailed data panel on the top of the robot's head. It was an information data organization similar to Talent's, but different, presenting the detailed functions and effects of the robot. I love my home. Model D6612 Guard Robot. Robot Category, Guard Robot. Current command sequence of the robot, second sequence, Robot Operating System, Autonomous Defense and Counterattack Logic System, cannot identify enemies outside the shelter and cannot attack. Robot Maximum Strength, 10 tons, in an emergency, it can carry heavy objects or forcefully stop intruders. Robot Maximum Speed, 525 meters per second, can move quickly to a designated location in a very short time. Robot reaction time, 3 milliseconds, time from detecting a threat to activating a defense mechanism. Robot anti-strike capability, able to withstand small explosions and direct attacks from conventional light weapons. Combat endurance, infinitely continuous activity within the shelter, unlimited energy. Weapon module, built-in weapons. Both arms are equipped with retractable high-frequency vibration blades for close combat. External interface supports rapid replacement of modular weapon systems, such as energy beam launchers, electric batons, etc. Retractable machine gun, hidden inside the robot arm, can be quickly extended and used when needed. Suitable for rapid strikes at medium and short distances. Rotating turret, located on the robot's chest, it can rotate 360 degrees and is equipped with an automatic locking and tracking system. Micro-rocket launcher, integrated in the robot's legs, it can launch small tracking rockets for chasing high-speed moving targets or providing air support. Perception and intelligence system, environmental perception, equipped with multispectral sensors and 360-degree panoramic cameras, it can perform indiscriminate monitoring day and night. Threat assessment, the built-in algorithm can quickly analyze potential threats and give corresponding defense strategies. Autonomous learning ability, the robot can continuously optimize combat and defense strategies based on actual combat experience. Anthropomorphic data module, Voice interaction, supports natural language processing in multiple languages and can have smooth conversations with humans. Emotion recognition, the ability to recognize and understand basic human emotions in order to respond appropriately. Behavioral simulation, when necessary, the ability to simulate human behavior to better integrate into the human social environment. Maintenance and upgrade, self-diagnostic system, capable of monitoring and reporting the health of internal mechanical and electronic systems in real-time. Self-upgrading function, as the shelter is upgraded, the whole body modules and operating systems can be upgraded and replaced by themselves. Damn, that's cool. Sui couldn't help but pump his fist, his face full of excitement. For an otaku, having an obedient combat robot is simply the most wonderful thing. It can be clearly seen from the data of the robot that this guy is simply a big killer, armed to the teeth, but the only drawback is that it can only fight back inside the shelter. If the enemy does not enter the shelter, even if it only attacks from the outside in, this guy will not be able to fight back because the system operation logic does not approve it. This shortcoming is really fatal. Sui sighed, slightly dissatisfied, but then he thought about it. This robot was created by the talents of Level 0 Shelter. A Level 0 Shelter can produce such an awesome robot, and it is normal to have some fatal flaws. It would be outrageous if it had no flaws. I estimate that the original owner's talent is probably at the S level. There is a high probability that he does not have SSS level talent. Otherwise, this robot may not have this single fatal limitation. But if that was really the case, then this guy would have come to kill me long ago. How could I have developed as I am now? Sui thought deeply and felt a little lucky in his heart. Fortunately, I wasn't too unlucky and didn't encounter too perverted a shelter in the first few days of the apocalypse. But thanks to Qiuren's poison, otherwise even if all the soldiers were sent to attack that house, they wouldn't be able to take it down. Sui looked at the robot, becoming more and more satisfied with it. This thing is in my sanctuary, it's invincible. Now even if all the soldiers are sent out to perform missions, the safety of our homes is guaranteed. Sui suddenly thought of the arrogant attitude of the original owner of the robot, and he felt deeply at this moment. Whoever dares to enter will die. Chapter 60 Population Explosion. The Era of Great Development of the Shelter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After reading the robot's comprehensive data information, Sui immediately called Zhang Xiaozi. Through the command crest, he added Zhang Xiaozi as the robot's third command sequence, and at the same time informed Zhang Xiaozi of the robot's origin and function. Congratulations sir, you got a good baby. Zhang Xiaozi smiled and spoke, her beautiful eyes constantly looking at the robot curiously. She was also amazed at the powerful combat power of this robot. This thing can only be placed on the 6th floor for guarding. Although this entire building is under our control, it is not yet within the scope of the shelter. Let's put this guy at the door of the room as a bodyguard for now. When the shelter expands, his role will be even greater. Sui sent the robot to the door of the room and asked Zhang Xiaozi, "What are you going to do with the group of community survivors downstairs? With our current supplies, it should be a little difficult to feed these people." Sui could guess Zhang Xiaozi's plan, but it was not comprehensive. He still needed to hear Zhang Xiaozi's more detailed plan. "Sir, we currently have a rough estimate of more than 300 survivors in the entire community. Counting our original residents, there will be about 400 people." Zhang Xiaozi was well prepared and gently explained his plan to Sui. Based on the current material reserves of the shelter, it can only normally provide a week's worth of survival materials for all members. But since I have recruited these people, I will not waste food by raising them for nothing. According to the current development strategy of the shelter, whether it is expanding outward through the trading market or processing the location information of major supermarkets that Lin Yu has obtained from exploring these days, we need a large enough population to maintain access to these resources. I plan to let these people rest and adjust for a day, and then divide the work according to different genders and ages. There must be 20 to 30 men among them, and they will be assigned to Qiuren together with 3 soldiers to equip them with basic armed forces to maintain the order of the trading market. As long as we maintain it carefully, offline trading locations will continue to provide new revenue. When Jiang Xiaozi said this, Sui suddenly asked, "How much stall fee do you plan to charge?" "Well, or, its protection fee." Jiang Xiaozi's attitude is very obvious. Naturally, she did not win the trading market for no reason to provide a safe offline trading environment for the survivors, she also wants to earn profits from it to fill the shelter's consumption. "Not much, 1/10. Jiang Xiaozi smiled and said, "It's much cheaper than the half of the thug's commission, and I have provided different stall plans, so it shouldn't cause too many objections. As long as the successful operation of a trading market can be maintained and the number of people in the trading market exceeds 100, supplies that can support at least 20 people can be transferred back every day. This is just an initial plan. If we continue to develop the scale of the trading market or occupy more trading market locations, our profits will only be more substantial. At the same time, the trading market guard team led by Qiuren can also provide force deterrence and bring more positive influence to our refuge. In addition to the trading market, I also plan to organize a transport team of about 120 to 150 people, who will be responsible for following the other soldiers in transporting peripheral materials. At present, Liya has not developed a technological method to restart used cars. We still need to rely on manpower for material transportation and dispatching." Jiang Xiaozi paused and said softly, "At this stage, human power is still the foundation for the operation of a force. Before more technological power is restored, how many people under our command can use it represents how powerful our shelter is." Sui understands this very well. "Well, I have a general understanding, just go ahead and do it." Sui is not afraid of trial and error. Even if there are errors in Jiang Xiaozi's plan, which may cause the shelter supply chain to break, Sui will not panic. At most, this will only consume a few more days of your talent reward. As long as there is not enough food in the shelter, talent rewards will be delivered to your door in minutes. Of course, Sui hopes to see Jiang Xiaozi's plan unfold smoothly, creating a snowballing trend for the shelter to grow and develop. "Sir, I will take care of it." Jiang Xiaozi nodded respectfully. Although she did not tell all the personnel arrangements, Sui believed in Jiang Xiaozi's ability to work. Jiang Xiaozi had mentioned to him in previous chats that he had managed a huge underground organization with a total of thousands of staff and agents at the upper and lower levels. Jiang Xiaozi, who has such large-scale personnel management experience, will certainly have no problem managing hundreds of people. Sui trusted Jiang Xiaozi very much and completely delegated power. After all, Sui felt that even if he came in person, he might not be able to do a better job than Jiang Xiaozi. After Jiang Xiaozi left, Sui watched the registration team downstairs for a while by the window. The registration work has basically come to an end, and Jiang Xiaozi has not arranged all the personnel to enter this building. She selected some men and women with special professional skills to enter the building where Sui was located. As for the others, they were completely chaotic and arranged in two nearby buildings. After ensuring that all three buildings were full of people, Jiang Xiaozi also deliberately left two soldiers, Lu Rui and Li Yang, to tell them not to go out to explore in the future, and one person was responsible for the security management of each building, as the building manager, ensuring internal security, and also responsible for supervising possible unrest factors in the building. During the initial deployment work, some survivors showed impatience. "We come here, don't we get some food and then go back? Ah, several people are crowded in one house, I might as well go back to my own shelter." Listen to the organization's arrangements, don't force it. Will anyone protect your safety when you go back? That there were some complaints in the crowd, but not many, and they were quickly digested internally. For citizens, personal safety is the primary condition. As long as you can ensure your own safety, freedom or not is something you sneer at. Even the dissenting voices that have appeared at present are mostly due to the shelter mechanism. Everyone has a shelter. Although most people's shelters may not be good, they still have hope in their hearts. If you can really develop yourself, wouldn't you be the king in the doomsday? There are many people who have such ideas, mostly young people, mostly men, but Jiang Xiaozi had a plan for people with such ideas. after she made overall arrangements for the personnel, she asked Sisterly to select a few familiar uncles and aunts from the crowd and return to their work in peacetime. She started to stay up all night, doing ideological work from door to door, emphasizing the necessity of unity and repeating the current predicament of the country and mankind. Jiang Xiaozi firmly grasped the reputation of righteousness, while Sisterly led people to appease the residents. Jiang Xiaozi also asked Lin Yu and the other idle soldiers to return to the community immediately. One person went to a room and took turns to destroy the remaining shelters in the community. Cut off the retreat. Without his own shelter, how could he not stay here and work peacefully? Qiuren also wanted to do such a thing. He thought this job was easy. He just needed to stay in a room for 30 minutes. During this period, he could do whatever he wanted, and no one cared, but Jiang Xiaozi rejected Qiuren's request. Jiang Xiaozi allocated 2 soldiers to him and asked him to continue to go to the trading market tonight, seize the time to establish the rules and regulations of the trading market, and ensure the safety of the trading market. Well, the work given to me is always the most dangerous. Qiuren rolled his eyes and complained, I am a doctor. How can you let a doctor go to the front line with a pistol? But complaining, he still left the shelter with 2 soldiers and disappeared into the night. The entire shelter has entered a period of rapid development with a surge in personnel. Even the girls of the first batch of residents are not idle. They follow Sisterly to constantly appease the new residents. The entire shelter is like a clockwork, and it is still turning non-stop at night. Even Sui, who is the most idle, is not idle tonight, because in front of him, the information prompts of Lin Yu and others destroying the shelter are constantly emerging. Even if he closed his eyes, he could see the flashing information outside his eyelids from time to time, which made him sleepless all night. Until dawn, Sui still stared at the void in front of him, very sleepy. But the information about the survival points in front of him made Sui laugh from time to time. Hee, it's really profitable. Xiaozi's trick made me make a lot of money even if I stayed at home.